Hi, this is Viktor Devonne, and you're about to listen to episode 4 of WEBurlesque with Falana Fox. So, a lot of you know that I'm a burlesque performer who likes talking to folks, and I am in fact not an engineer. I'm still figuring out levels and microphone placement and all that non-jazz. So this episode is a little rough, but it's a great conversation with Falana Fox that I didn't want to scrap just because it's got some pops in it. I really appreciate the reconstruction work that DJ Tat Matt took for it, but as a burlesque podcast on the road, this episode definitely shows I still don't know what I'm doing. And I interview wonderful people with infectious, delightful laughs that occasionally clip the recording. I'm working on it. Thanks everyone for your support, and enjoy it, and I'll talk to you soon.
Too much, I don't look too, but...
Yeah, no, that would require...
I put my Victoria's Secret satin on, and no one's gonna
I'm not there yet.
We have pillows. You see I have pillows.
That'll work.
Okay.
Yeah, I will allow that to... Alright,
yeah.
Well, let's chat. Alright.
Okay, we all got chatty.
I know, but I haven't introduced us yet.
Okay, I'll be quiet. I'll wait.
You are listening to WEBurlesque. I am Viktor Devonne. This is a podcast speaking to nightlife professionals and some of my dearest friends in the industry. I am joined tonight in Jersey City on February 3rd, 2018 with Falana Fox.
Yay.
Hello.
Hi. I have to keep my voice out, guys, remember.
It's quite all right.
Up.
Now I am in your fabulous apartment, and I'm now admittedly. So when I asked Falana to do this interview, I did neglect to say that it wasn't going to be visual. It's only audio. And so she looks fabulous.
Because I thought I was ready.
She has her hair done. She has a lovely kimono on. She even has a fancy slipper.
Yes, a little fluff, and a little glitter on the lip.
But that's how I always imagine you.
It's not even real glitter. It's like a lip gloss.
Okay.
And it's just woof.
How do you what is your day to day? Are you a low maintenance, or are you let me put a little sparkle on?
Some days a little sparkle.
Okay.
I put a little something, and I work over my day muggle job. I'm a food service coordinator.
Okay.
So I'm up and around a lot, but I still like.
Are you seen by
everyone?
Your customers? So
I'm seen by everyone in the building.
So you're presentable, exactly. But you're also you get to show a little personality.
Yes, but it's under the facilities department.
Okay.
And when I got the job, I was like, oh, this is gonna be wonderful. And they're like, okay, you have to wear a walkie-talkie and this. And I was like, the fuck, I don't want to do that. So I still wear my tutu skirt. With my walkie, and they made me get like a back brace because sometimes I actually have to lift like tables and stuff, helping the vendors with the food. Okay. So I got a pink one. Okay. So I have to rhinestone it.
Well, yes. Is that in the handbook? Do they say you're allowed?
If they said I had to get one, I said, well, if I have to get one, I want it in pink.
Okay.
And I want to do something to it. And my boss was like, all right, do what you want to do. I was like, okay.
Well, because you work for it's a food service.
So they have, you know how like Google, Facebook, they have like lunch and they have the kitchen and the employees eat free all day. So we got that going on.
Oh, cool.
So we have like 6 vendors come in, and I'm the coordinator with Fuda.
Okay.
And they get the restaurants or pop-ups, and I coordinate to make sure everything is correct. I work with my reps, and it's an everyday thing from 11:30 to 2.
Have you
every day?
Do you have people that you tell what to do? Are you managerial?
Yes. I didn't think I would be.
No.
But I didn't know, because this was a new position and kind of no one really knew what
it was going to be.
I remember my first week there, because I'm a contractor for this. And my boss told me, oh, well, I'm going to help you in the beginning and then it's on you. I'm like, okay, thank you. So So I just went in running. So, I have 2 reps that come in from Fuda. They come in, they set up. In the beginning, I was like flipping tables too, and now I just open doors for them.
And you let them flip the tables.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure that the vendors, that the pop-ups that come on, they don't have ridiculous amount of warmers. They don't try to blow stuff. They don't bring sternos in. That whole thing. And make sure the janitor is picking up the recyclable when service starts. And so it's like an ongoing on my feet.
Do you think you would ever take what you've learned or what you use in that profession and in that job in a more theatrical fashion? Can you imagine yourself directing things? Can you imagine yourself?
Definitely. I always wanted to, I would dip and dab whenever I was out of a job. I would, because I was in theater before. I'm actress and all that, so I know some people doing stuff here and there. So I was like, "Oh, do you need help, whatever?" And I remember I was out of regular muggle work for a while, and I helped with one of the production company. It was a show, this side of Paradise, and I did everything from the box office to running around to the colleges to get promoting the play for their gala night. Buying stuff for the theme, So I did. Yeah, I would love to, but then I dip a little, and then something else happens.
Right.
And
it's hard to be a freelance in everything.
Yeah. So, but I definitely.
When did you decide that you wanted to be an actress?
Oh my God! I think when I was really young, and I used to look at the Muppets.
Okay.
And Miss Piggy. And they had the show.
This original series?
The original.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm up there, boo. And you remember they were in the theater.
Yeah.
They were always doing the show.
The lights. Yeah.
So I think that was the start. And I had a color form,
I remember them.
Color form.
Yeah. It was cardboard, but with a glossy item on it, and then they were stickers, but they weren't. But you could peel them off.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have Miss
Rubbery.
Piggy.
I had quite a few color forms growing up.
Yeah. I think Wonder Woman too. I might have had a Wonder Woman.
I remember I had Batman Returns. I remember that because they had different scenes. They the street scene, and then you could put I want to put Catwoman on the fire escape, and then you would peel them off and then move them somewhere else. You could almost treat them like dolls, but they would be So were you? I can sort of imagine it, but I'm always surprised every once in a while because somebody will tell me, no, that wasn't me at all. Were you the performing arts kid who were let me entertain my parents' guests at dinner?
Growing up, I don't know if I told you this before, I was a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
So it was nobody was really doing much of that.
Right.
But my mother was so much into fashion and so much into social, stuff.
Right.
So we would do stuff at home. But no, not to that. She wanted me to go into fashion. I can't sew, I can't hem, I can't do none of that shit. For whatever reason.
No, yeah.
My thing was, I love to sing and then act. So my younger cousins, I would make them sing Annie songs and different things. I would do it to them. So I wouldn't do it for everybody, but them.
Is there a choir or anything in Jehovah's Witness practice?
No. We would sing. We had a book of hymns.
Okay.
I guess you want to call it hymns. And we would sing, but not like a choir.
Okay.
Like Baptist church.
Right.
And I would have loved that.
Sure.
I would have freaking loved that. The only thing, and I would say the one thing I really got from there, we had to do talks. They called them talks, but they were like little plays.
Yeah.
And we would take parts of the scripture. We were going to talk about if it was bullying or, drug abuse or whatever, different themes. And we would have a partner, and we would prepare of the different scriptures we would talk about or whatever.
And then apply it to...
every Friday, and we would we're doing a scene about it. So that kind of actually helped me with my acting too.
Okay. So how old were you when you...
ran away, got out free.
Left the church?
I was around 12.
Okay.
Around 12, which was kind of cool.
I mean, it's funny. It's one of those things. Jehovah's Witness. I was raised sort of general Christian, specifically Protestant, but my parents sort of had a very ecumenical understanding that my father, I think, was a would-be hippie if he had just not had the responsibilities he had as a child. And then he's a Unitarian, so which is as far left in Christianity you can get before you fall out of it. And then, so it's very much about like, well, Christ said all this, let's actually apply the message of that, not just tell people what they can and cannot do. And I that's why every once in a while when I hear people who are particularly self-righteous about the Bible or self-righteous about speaking for God or what have you, I'm sort of like, it rings so false to me, not just because I don't fit that narrative, because I'm usually one of the people that they're saying doesn't belong, because I'm a blasphemer, I'm a sodomite, I am all of these things, and now I've made it a job. And so I've never been able to really put that all together and say, I mean, are you still a person of faith?
I am a spiritual person.
Okay.
I believe.
Sure.
And other than the plays, it taught me about the stories of the Bible and different things. And to have faith and hope. And that's what I took from it. The one thing, and I guess for me that really, I guess when you were talking about being so strict and you have to be like this and if you're that way, they cut you off. It bothered me because my father, he was in jail, and then when he was in there, my mother got to be a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
So because she did it, he was like, okay, well, I'm gonna do it. And in jail, you either become a Muslim, you become this, you become that. You know what they do for you.
Right.
There.
You got time.
You got time. So he became a Jehovah's Witness too.
Okay.
So when he got out, everybody's like, oh my God, Brother Brown, everybody loved this is gonna be a perfect little family. My father did it for a hot minute and was like, fuck no. And got back in the street doing his shit. So, long story short, my father died, and my father died of AIDS. And I have other aunts and stuff who are his sister that was a Jehovah's Witness and didn't come when he
passed.
When he was passed. And that did something to me too. Because I'm like, this is your brother. Okay, fine, he did it, he's disfellowshipped or whatever, when they throw you out because he wasn't doing, that's your brother. And that's what really, I was like, I would never,
you can't connect to it.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't, and if you believe in God, as they say, he's a loving God. He loves all.
Like that's sort of the whole point.
That's the whole point. If we sin or if we whatever the case may be, a forgiving God. So hey, hey.
And one that was always sort of on the level of it's only me who gets to make that decision. Yeah. Not y'all.
Because we're supposed. Yeah. So please. So yeah. So.
When did you finally get to begin acting professionally, or at least explore it?
Explore. I started exploring really in 2000 maybe ish.
Okay.
19 something, and later I wanted to be a singer first. So in the 90s it was trying to become a singer.
Who did you pattern yourself after?
Oh man, I was like the Mary J. And I almost got signed to a production deal, and
this is like real love, Mary J.
Real love. And the guy was like, he took me to the studio in Jersey, and he was like, this is what we're going to do to you, and you're going to be made like this, and this, and Aaliyah, recorded it. I was like, oh, yes. And filled out, got the contract, and I had a singing coach, and her husband was a entertainment lawyer.
Okay.
So she said, let him look this over. He looked it over and he was like, okay, it's not bad.
90s were notorious for screwing over, especially R&B and I mean, like you listen to the TLC story.
Yeah.
And like there's this no one had any control over their music.
No.
And then everything was based on, it was all about what producer you were working with.
Yeah.
So everything was owned by Dallas, or everything was owned by
them. And you were just like a pawn, you perform like a puppet and had nothing. So he saw some things in the document that wasn't correct. He said, it's not bad. This changed this, that, and others. A few things. The guy would not budge.
You would not.
So I said, okay, you know what? This is it's okay. This is a sign. Let me let go. So that was the 90s, and then in 2000, I started working with the Classical Theater of Harlem. Yeah, I worked with Titus Walker. He's passed. If you look him up, and I did 2 plays with him, and it was crazy because I didn't have a resume. I saw it. I saw the ad, and I went in, and I read, and I got it. Mm-hmm. And he wanted us to sell tickets for the play, like $20 a pop in a theater downtown. And my mom and everyone came. They said they were getting bit by little things. It was horrible. It was, and we didn't get paid. But I did it. I got that on my resume. And after that was the Classical Theater of Harlem. Okay. And I did a few runs with that.
What did you do? Were they original plays or were they?
They were. We did Lysistrata. Mm-hmm. We did Romeo and Juliet. Okay.
Who'd you play in Romeo and Juliet?
Capulet, and I have an Adelco nomination. Yes.
Oh.
That's Frank right over there. Yes, it's still Friends. Yeah. So I did that, and then after that, I went on to.
Were these predominantly black-only productions, or were they?
Predominantly. Okay. Predominantly mixed race. We had a mix, but it was predominantly because the Classical Theater of Harlem it came out of the Harlem School of the Arts. Okay. So most of the kids there were from Harlem or in that area. And then they had adults come in, and that was a mixture of the different races and everything. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it was television. I did a TV Land commercial, and little infomercials here and there. And then I was on the show Street Court.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm Bailiff Mom. Look it up. Google it. I come up with a little baby fro. It was hard because I just chopped my hair off. So
what year was that?
2008, 9-ish.
Okay.
Yeah. Ish. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Where did you...
Channel 11. Yes.
Back when it was like WPIX.
WPIX.
Right before it was merged. Mm-hmm. When did you first hear of burlesque?
I would see little things, like on television, movies.
Yeah, sometimes you don't know you're seeing burlesque until...
it's not even known. Yeah. And it always was like, ooh, the cabaret. Mm-hmm. And I always was infatuated with the showgirl. Sure. That was my main thing. And I remember I worked over at Sephora, and I on the floor, and then I'd go on the register, back and forth. And it was one day I bumped into 2 or 3 women who were in burlesque. Like, they were buying makeup, and it just conversation, and I was like, oh no, I can't do that. And I started working over in Joe's Pub, mm-hmm. and I would see shows. And I said, I'm really interested, and I'm a researcher, so I research everything before I do it. I can't just,
Can't jump in.
Like my girl, what's her name? Delicia.
Yeah.
Okay. I think she was a performer, so she just out.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I was like, I need a class. Teach me how to do something. I can't. Why am I doing this? I need help. So I found the School of Burlesque.
Who did you work with?
The first class was Joe Boobs, because it was just the essential class. So it was just, this is a bow, and you this, and you're gonna, and it was, I said, I like this. And after that, I took the development class with Jezebel Express. Excellent. And changed my life, because I had to find my name from my work, the class, the show.
Right. Mm-hmm. Where does Falana Fox come from?
It's a mixture of Lola Falana. Okay. I'm a 70s baby. So I love that, and the showgirl, and she's a Virgo, and I'm a Virgo, and I'm like, yes, and it's something about her, just like, she just screamed showgirl to me. Right. And I just needed a fox. Again, I don't know. I needed something, and I Googled it, like a lot of new artists need to do. Google names and find out.
Figure out if it's too close.
Too close, because there's a lot of foxes. There's a lot of foxes. And
there's
I was there's a few, but
I understand. I think there are a few foxes or foxies or things like that in the first name. Yeah. I don't know a whole lot with the last name.
Me and Magdalena. Yes. Fox and Ivory Fox, of what I know of.
So, okay.
So far.
So why aren't you all on tour doing the 3 Little Foxes?
I know! Okay, we just said it. Okay, let's do it. Victor just said it. Let's put it out there, girls.
I know, it's
true. But, yeah.
You know what's so funny is that I know so many performers, and I am able to compartmentalize how I know them, or their style or their aesthetic, or and because the three of you I know in such specific ways, and I know it kind of escaped my mind that you all had the same last name, because your Fox is not the same as their Fox, and it's
we're all different, different,
and that's one of the great things about burlesque.
Yeah, it is, and but yeah, so I researched, and no one had Falana. I mean, if someone pops up now,
then
no one had that, so I said, you know what, that's what I'm gonna do, and and it was a time I wanted to change, because it was like somebody had a name, and I was like, man. What's her name? I gotta find it. I'll have to get back to you on it.
Okay.
Because it was a name, and I was like, oh man, that's good.
But then it was already taken.
But it was taken. But I just wanted it. That's it. I just wanted it. That's it. And I was like, but yeah. In my mind, I was her. But yeah.
We're gonna take a minute, and then we're gonna reset a little bit, and then we're gonna start talking about your formative years in burlesque. So you're listening to We Burlesque. Don't forget to rate and subscribe on your podcast viewer or listener of choice, and we'll be right back. So this is WEBurlesque. This is Viktor Devonne. I'm talking to Falana Fox, and we took a little break, and then we started chatting so much, it's like we completely forgot. So let's. We were talking about Europe.
Yes.
And I was saying I've been to Ireland. I was very young.
Okay.
And I didn't appreciate it as much as I did. It's gorgeous, but I was 10, and now I would adore it because I would know what I was looking at.
Yeah.
But I was there honestly during the Troubles. I was there when Belfast was still having like bombings every week, and I didn't know what that really was all about. And then I went to Northern Ireland, and then I was able to see. I remember it being very beautiful. I kissed the Blarney Stone. I went to Limerick. I saw Dublin and Derry, and I went. But the thing is though, I didn't have an appreciation for. I was in my own head. That was back in my age when I was drawing like little comic strips in my notebook, and I was very introverted. I was pre-sexual awakening. Yeah, I hadn't quite figured all of that out, but I've yet to. I would love to go to London, and I've heard Germany.
I want to go to London
lovely.
so bad. I went to Paris once. I need to go back. Went with my ex, and it was really cold.
When did you go?
I went right for Christmas.
Oh, well, yes, I would assume.
And to like the beginning New Year's and whatever after that, and it was just free, and I wasn't ready for it because I went there like, oh, I'm going to Paris, everything's gonna be sexy, and I was like, oh my god, I was like, I stayed in Uggs and just.
I know you were wrapped up.
I was like, oh, it was so cool. And then he was open guy, but I didn't get to go to any burlesque. And even Moulin Rouge and all that, we went, no, he didn't want to go. And there was a club there. And I was like, you gotta redo
it. You need to redo.
Redo. Food was wonderful, though. Even the IKEA.
Do you speak French?
Not one bit. And I failed the class when I was in junior high school. It's all right. It's all right. I just look and smile. They smile back. The IKEA.
Yeah.
The wine and bread they had in there.
In the store?
Yes. Oh. And yes. So that's what I enjoy. Food.
Oh well.
Yeah, that was it.
I mean, I would love. Yeah, I'm a very simple person when it comes to food. Mm-hmm. I mean, you throw some bread, cheese, and meat at me, and I'm good.
You're okay.
But when it comes to exploring architecture, I'm finally of that age where I would love to see things, and it's strange. I love. I have an interest in, I forget what it's specifically called, when you look at buildings that are in need of repair. It's sort of like
not reconstruction, but some type of.
Yeah, people who are listening are yelling it at the podcast.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Urban decay.
Okay.
Or but not the makeup. I was of all places, I was in Alaska because my parents were there for several years, and we went to this place called Seward, Alaska. Seward is named after the person who helped acquire it for the United States, and we went and it was September, but September's like just about our November. Yeah, it's chilly. We were in a sea town, so there were docks and there were boats. We went to see the icebergs, and it was a lovely experience. But there was this area, and I have it actually on my Facebook. I have a couple of pictures that I've this is years ago at this point though, where there was this terrifying building, and it looked like something out of Silent Hill, and I remember it was just so cool looking to me, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it is. For some reason, the idea of like buildings that are sort of falling apart or sort of have exposed piping, and that's one reason that I've always wanted. I mean, Victor as a persona, I'm sort of, I'm a hobo clown, but I also sort of imagine myself at all times in sort of like, it's a theater or a place not unlike the Kit Kat Club or something like that, where there is the exposed catwalk, where you can see all of that. I love an industrial space.
Yes, I do too.
I love an industrial space.
Yes. Yeah. I thought I was going to, when I got this apartment, which is really funny, I first had to I subleased it from someone. So when she emailed me and said, it's in this area, this is it. I'm gonna send you the Google Maps so you can see it. I'm like, okay. So when I went in, it didn't hit this. It hit across the street. And the building across the street is like an old bank. And they have these big round windows and exposed. And I thought that's what I was like, yes, finally. She said, no, it's the one across the street. Okay. But I get to look at it every day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, and of course, those places are notoriously unsafe.
Yeah, but they look good.
You figure it out.
Yeah.
You make it work.
Something about it that's just really good.
So, jumping back a little bit, we've talked about your rise to burlesque, to eventually becoming the brick house of burlesque.
Yes, I love it.
Which is, I named you.
I did. That was the best.
I named you last year. We had our award, the White Elephant Award show, Silver Tusks.
And that was my song that came. I was like, wow.
I was like, it's the brick house of burlesque, Falana Fox. Because you have a name, and you have a tagline, which is for those who are listening who are not in the scene. Typically, burlesque performers will have just a little snippet, just a little something to say, the blank of burlesque, or they're blank but not blank. There's something, and you did a development class, or you did something with Pearl Noir.
Yes.
The illustrious Pearl Noir.
Yes.
Who called you what?
She said, the one you'll never forget.
Now, why are you the one you'll never forget?
Because I give it.
That's good.
I give it. Whatever I do,
you give it full out.
I give a full out. Like everything I do, it's a reason. I do it.
You're purposeful.
I'm very purposeful. Just like when I started doing burlesque and I did a development act, I was like, I have to take a class. I need to know why I'm doing this. That's why it's very hard for me.
So you're not an improviser.
Huh?
You're not an improviser.
That's why when I did the show, I was freaking out like that.
So White Elephant, we called it a Secret Santa show, and it was our last show of 2017, yes. And every performer who was coming in was gifted a person's song by somebody else in that show. So who did you have?
I had Clara.
You had Clara Coquette.
Well, no, I had...
Clara Coquette had you.
Clara Coquette had me. I had Anya.
You had Anya Keister.
Yeah.
So you gifted Chandelier by Shoshana Bean, a cover of a Sia song, which Anya killed.
Oh my God, it was wonderful.
And that's hard because not only was it a song that she would not have normally done, it was a cover of a song she wouldn't normally have done. And she killed it. And Clara Coquette gifted you "I've Got My Love to Keep Me Warm," which makes perfect sense for Clara. I mean, I want to say that I had some sense that, Clara's got you because she has an old-fashioned sensibility. Yes. She'll give you something that you can work with. And not that you have necessarily only acts that are of that time period or of that, but you slip into that so well. And I want to get to an act specifically shortly.
And I actually wore something that was, and I didn't even know.
I know, it was actually, it was warm and it was cozy.
I said, let me put stuff on.
Did you were ready for a night walking through the snowy drifts before settling by the fire.
So good. Everybody. That was just so good.
There was a lot of goodness in that show.
And it goes to trusting yourself. I get fearful with improvising, but when I do it, it's always good.
Have you ever taken a class?
Yes.
Okay.
And it
helps.
It helps. So I need to do more of that.
It's, you know what it is, I think that it's flexibility. I have seen, I think I may have even said this on the podcast already, because this is only episode 4. But my theory is that a burlesque performer is coming from one of 3 disciplines. And there's no strict rule, and there's no right answer or no wrong answer. But you're coming as an actor, as a dancer, or as a model. Yeah. And there's no doubt in my mind that you're coming from it as an actor. Yeah. And what that means, though, is that... And they all have... I mean, a model will spend the time figuring out their light, will figure out the look, and the deconstruction of the look, and the posing, and the architecture of the limbs. That's hard.
Yeah, it is.
And then a choreographer will make sure that not only are there steps and that there's the feet go in the right direction, but it's also that the clothes come off on beat. Yes. That is very specific. Yes. And then an actor will also spend time on the moment before. Where am I coming from? Where am I going? Because we know as actors, because I'm also, I also perform it as an actor, that we have a moment before, but we also have a moment after. And the moment after is so unusual because we're mostly naked at that. Yeah. So what is the moment after we're mostly naked? It's not always sexual. It's not always, well, then we jump into bed because that's what we got ready for. The act does not necessarily mean that. Sometimes it's just, and then we go on with our lives. Yeah. Or because we learned a little bit about ourselves. It's an expression of vulnerability, or it's a sign of... It's like a chrysalis. Yeah. Now we've gone through something, but we'll spend that much time on that act, figuring out that arc. Figuring it out. What are we doing inside that chrysalis?
Yeah, like I said, that's why I had to take the development class. I had to do it. You know?
What was your first? What did you used to do that act?
Oh my goodness, I remember the act. It was I Wish I Was a Millionaire. That's Bruno, right?
He does the chorus.
He does the chorus, and the guy Travis. Yeah.
No.
Travis.
That's Google. I Wish I Was a Millionaire.
Bruno Mars and
I know he does the chorus. Bruno does
Travis. Where is he from? He was a rapper.
Here's what I found on the web for I Wish I Was a Millionaire.
So freaking bad. Hang on. So you did an act to that?
Yes, and it was me being, I guess, a hobo or somebody,
Travie McCoy, you're right.
Okay. So, and I had, and it was like I was sitting next to a garbage can or so, and I was begging for, starving artists, give me something. I had a sign, and I kicked it over, and then things came out of the garbage, like a magic genie thing.
Oh.
And at the end of it, I have a big sign, and my 2 F's are right there. You see right there?
I do.
Those 2 F's, because you had to make a sign big, and it was a big Falana Fox, and lights and stuff. Yeah, so it was cool. That was my first act.
And you did that with Jezebel, or you did that with...
Jezebel. I did that with Jezebel.
Now, as someone who has not gone through the School of Burlesque, I came up through... I was self-taught, essentially.
There's a lot of...
Well, I mean, Jersey was sort of... There wasn't... Jersey in 06, when we started, there wasn't a scene per se. Looking back, I've learned that yes, there were shows that were happening. Hell's Kitchen Lounge in Newark was still happening. There were things obviously in Atlantic City. There were some things in Asbury Park, but that's a big stretch of distance.
That is.
And there was nothing really in North Jersey. Okay. And anyone who's listening who is like, well, I was working, no disrespect to you, but we didn't have social media, and we didn't have the way of...
to find someone who knows somebody who
and again, I've spoken to different performers who started New York in the 90s. So you have your world famous Bobs, you have your Dirty Martinis, your Tiggers, and all of that. You're right, they didn't have social media, but they live on top of each other.
Yeah.
These buildings, yes, there was a flyer on the side of a wall, but it was there.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're in Union, New Jersey, to put a flyer and say, come to Parsippany.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're in Newark to have a flyer on a wall and it say, make sure you come down to Tom's River.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
No.
So when I was figuring all of that out, I was coming from Rocky Horror, and I was coming from my own community theater background. My parents were supportive of that, and then I internalized and I wasted a lot of time. I feel like a lot of my burlesque career is still catching up. I've always...
I would have done it sooner.
I mean, I started pretty young. Don't get me wrong, but I wish I had done more when I was younger.
Yeah.
And because I was a little dish back then. I was not necessarily prepared. I mean, it's hard to say because I also know...
There's no mistakes.
No mistakes, and also knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have been able to handle it.
Yeah.
I'd have been eaten alive. Yeah. I would have been more taken advantage of than I was, because I did a lot of shows not knowing my worth. I did a lot of events where I was like, no, we just do this because we like it, right? Yeah. And not understanding the professionalism. What's up? You can say it.
No, look.
Oh, hello. We have a cat guest.
It's Ms. Foxy Brown.
Do you have another fox in the house?
Yes,
another fox in the
house? She was
house?
before me. Well, no. I was before her. Yeah.
So Miss Foxy Brown.
My boo-boo.
Hello, baby.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, we've had a few cat guests on WeBurlesque so far.
It happens. But I agree, and even I've been doing this for.
But you said 2010?
2010.
7 years.
No.
When did you start your development course?
No. It couldn't have been.
Maybe 5 years.
Maybe.
Well, no, I met you. Yeah, I met you.
I mean, between there somewhere.
When did I meet you?
It's not 5. It's 6 or 7. 6, 7. Yeah, maybe.
Because we had already known each other.
Jackson.
Yes, that's what it was.
That's when I met you.
I met you for Sake Feva's Janet Jackson tribute show.
Yes, but you always like me to do that act.
I did. Well, she does. Falana does an act to Rope Burn from The Velvet Rope, which is a formulative album for me. Mm-hmm. That was a good album, and because it's so. That album, it's politically aware, it's hypersexual, and it's before, I think, well, it's before Nipplegate, it's before the Super Bowl, but it's also before she was demonized for being sexual. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure she got some flack for it, but it's before they're like, oh, Janet Jackson, put your top back on.
That whole nipple. And the funny thing with the nipple, I
Oh, we're recording this the day before Super Bowl Sunday's tomorrow.
She's
I think so.
That was rumors. They
Okay.
said she wasn't. They spoke to Terry Lewis, Jimmy Jam. They were like, she's not going to do it. People saying she's not going to do it. I mean, people saying they want her to, but
Because it's actually Justin Timberlake.
It's Justin Timberlake. And they were saying, I wonder if she's going to come up. I wonder. And
Well, by the time this airs, that will already have figured out. So let's talk about that slightly in before we know this terms, because again, we're in the past.
Yeah.
That's what Lute Alfred Douglas said when I interviewed him. Like, we're in the past.
I as an artist, I used to sing background for Adam Barta. You know him?
I don't off the top of my head.
Adam Barta, and he had a song, and he wanted to reenact the nipple, and I didn't do burlesque yet. And it was the funniest thing, because I was like, okay, I'll do it. I was like, oh no, but what do I put? I can't just show him a titty. I can't show him a titty, and I got big titties. So I went and found the biggest sticker. It was a flower sticker, and I put it on. And I had a top that went like one sleeve, so when I'm singing and doing this whatever, and he's doing it, and he just pulls it, and yes,
And there it was.
Thought of my burlesque, and I didn't even know.
Well, see. Well, that's actually a lot of times, and I'm starting to, because again, this is still a relatively new medium for me, is speaking to people on microphone with somewhat pre-planned questions, is I'm learning to ask, were you the performing arts kid? Were you that?
Yeah.
Because what I'm finding a lot of times is that for a lot of burlesquers, no, they weren't. And the reason I ask knowing that is because I want to then know, so where did that come from? Yeah. And when you're developing an act and you're putting yourself out there and you've been working for as long as it has been, however long that's ended up being, I've seen you be very classic and you be very sultry. And there's one act in particular that I want to talk about that I wanted it to be like the start of a documentary, because I wanted it to be explained to me partially, and I'll preface this as a white man.
Okay.
You do an act as a Hottentot Venus, and I want to talk about that because knowing you as the smirking lady who pours wax on her chest, and knowing you in that blue gown and your hair up and your hot chocolata, and then to see I did. I saw it at Speakeasy Burlesque.
That's sweet. Okay.
Lillian Bustle was producing it in Jersey City.
Yes.
And that night I was hosting for Lillian.
Yes.
And I introduced you.
Yes.
And I was able to watch it from the side, because I've learned from Tigger that if you can watch, because that will inform especially if you haven't booked it. Yeah. Or if you haven't because that night I hadn't booked it. Yeah. So if you haven't watched, if you're a guest in somebody else's house, watch the act, because that will inform the immediate things you say after. Because there's a lot of things worse than this, but there's nothing so bad as someone doing an act you're not seeing, you come out and you kill the mood by saying, wasn't that hot? And you didn't know what they were doing.
You don't know what it was, Makes sense.
You have to, because you're not given that ability at the start of the show. Yeah. So use what you have at the end of the show, or the end of the act. So you came out. Yeah. Describe the act to people.
Okay. I created that act in another development class.
With Jezebel?
No, with Darlinda. Darlinda. And I didn't know what I was getting into, because I just wanted to do another class. I wanted to, And in this class, I was in that class with Lulu,
Limoncello,
and Pearls Daly.
Fabulous artists.
Ula.
Uberbusen.
Yes, which helped me with the music with that. And in that class, it was a class of experimental burlesque, do as you please compared to a classic or whatever, and being a performing arts person, I'm still thinking of doing a one-woman show, and the Hottentot Venus, I'll go into it. She Zadar Bartman. She was a South African woman who was brought over to London. And she was put in a circus act. And
was it sort of like a freak show?
It was somewhat of a freak show. It was she was sexualized and objectified of the way she looked.
What was so specific about her look?
Her buttocks was very huge, and her labias were long.
Okay.
So she wouldn't show them, though. She wore an apron to cover, and that's in the show. Mm-hmm. I had something over. And there are a tribe of women who do look like this. This is who they are.
Yeah.
This is normal.
It's just part of bodies.
What is part of. But when she came over, it was put out like, oh my God, what is this?
Right.
And she thought, of coming over to a new land, I'm going to make money, I'm going to, become whatever. And she was just objectified. Mm-hmm. It was a play done not too long ago. It was a redo of a play called Venus by Suzanne Laurie Park in the Signature Theater, not too far ago. So I've been obsessed somewhat with the story of this woman. So when I did this development class, I said, hey, I wonder if I could make this into something, because it goes into what we're looked at now, how we're objectified now, how women of color, trans, many.
I want to say it goes into Milkshake by Khalees.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like, it's nothing wrong with being sexual. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with owning your body.
As long as you're the one owning it.
If you're the one owning it.
So do you feel that she's an example of someone who thought that they had their own agency and their own body, and then were being abused by...
I think so, because I don't think you just go into feeling, I'm abused.
And that happens with people of different disabilities or people of different body types.
Yeah.
And this was also at the height. Mm-hmm. We have so many hills and valleys of racism in the United States.
Yes.
But we have the objectification and the beautification. Oh, but we're just appreciating, quote unquote, African culture, and the exoticizing and the treating of it as savagery.
I mean, it was. I mean, when she passed, they took her body parts and it was in exhibits in France. Her
career continued into her death.
Yeah, come on now.
I know.
Her brain was looked at, her body, her structure. I mean, everything. And she wasn't buried. She wasn't buried until, I think, in the 80s in South Africa. Hello? Come on.
Yeah.
So, in that piece, I said, okay, so how can I do this with, it can't be that long, But, it could be, but, how could I do it? So I said, okay, I put a little pop culture in it, because I come out with just showing my butt.
Yes.
And they think they're getting, we could ass, black ass up there, let's clap. Wait a second. Why are you even clapping for this? What
am I doing here?
Yeah, what are you celebrating here? What is this? You know? And I start with the whole look at her butt. Her butt's so big.
Yeah.
The whole
oh my God, Becky.
Oh my God, Becky. And then I get into the whole Nicki Minaj song and all of that. Just like what the women doing now and putting injections in their ass to make it bigger.
Do you think that that's do you think that the piece is reflecting on, I mean, obviously it's reflecting on all of it.
Yeah.
But do you do that to say, hey, men, look at what you're doing? Do you say, hey, white people, look at what's been going down?
A little bit of all.
Okay.
A little bit of all.
Because it is everything.
It's a little bit of all, because it's how men, how white people and other races look at us, and how we look at ourselves.
Well, as a black woman, do you feel that the objectification that you experience on stage, off stage, however, because unfortunately for a lot of the women performers that I speak to, it's not that different. The difference is the agency and the permission you're giving on stage. That it does depend on white objectification versus people of your own color that are objectifying you?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel it's a difference. Still there, but a difference. I feel white people feel that they could do it. Because...
It's an entitlement.
The entitlement.
Yeah.
You know? And we're here to be looked at, gawked at. They copy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay. Because they can. And for my own race, being justified and men looking at a certain way, it's insecurities, knowing your worth, respect. And it's deep.
Yeah.
It's deep. It's not just, the Nicki Minaj butts and you have to have the tiny waist and then, you put on a pedestal. It's deep how black men treat black women and how
do you
black
feel
women treat black women, how we treat each other.
How do you feel, like, obviously, your act is not a statement piece against Nicki Minaj.
No, it's not. It definitely is not. Mm-mm.
Do you feel that Nicki Minaj is feeding into a culture, or do you think that she's making her own point and people are just misrepresenting it?
It could be, again, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I don't know her personally.
Right.
I don't know her personally. Sometimes, and being a woman, being a woman,
Sure.
saying, you know what, I don't like the way my tits look. I want them up more. I don't have this. I want to be, and I want this, and I'll feel better. We have that.
Absolutely.
Definitely. I don't know. It could be money. She's a rapper. She's in that spot.
She's a product at this point.
Product. Exactly. Yeah. So it could be numerous amounts of things. So it's just a little bit of everything. So yeah. But when I did that piece, I was like, whoa, and I didn't know where I was gonna go with it. And I'm proud of it.
There are two acts that yours is one of them that the audience. It's a delightful bait and switch. And I know that bait and switch is usually used in a negative context, but what I mean by that is it's showing the audience something and then saying, no, examine that. Yeah. That's what I mean
Think about
you, and I don't know if you've ever seen this, but Miss Poison Ivory has an act that started off as a Django Unchained tribute act.
The one that she did for at the burlesque hall
she did her step down act, I believe it was. I don't think it was the act she won with.
I think not what she won with. Yeah, step down act.
Yeah.
I did see it on
YouTube.
Online. Yes, it was good.
Yeah, where she comes out and she is dressed as a slave.
Yeah.
And then she becomes a showgirl.
Yeah.
And then maybe it's not that different in the way that we look at women on stage.
Yeah.
There's still ownership issues. There's still property issues.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of people look at, and we do this in celebritydom, and we do this in the way that we iconographize our iconography people everywhere. Yeah. But particularly with women. And particularly, we put them in boxes, and we say, no, but you're that.
Yeah.
We've celebrated or we've mocked male artists who change their medium. With women, we get mad at them. Yeah. Like, everyone remembers when, I don't know, well, not everyone, I'm speaking of a specific age when I say that Garth Brooks decided he was going to do rock. Yeah. And then people made fun of him when he did the whole Chris Gaines thing. Yeah. It was a joke. When a woman decides that they are going to switch something up or reflect on something, we get mad at them and we punish them. And it's not that we make them into jokes. We don't make them into jokes. We actually say that they're a flop.
Yeah, and you change our image of you.
We've done that.
You like this, so
exactly.
You cannot do that.
And even artists who then end up being problematic on their own, and I'm curious about how you feel about this next person that I'm going to bring up, we say, but you're a child actor, don't be sexualized now that you're over of an age. I was going to ask you about Miley Cyrus. Because we've danced a little bit around cultural appropriation, but I haven't flat out asked you. And admittedly, as a white person of privilege and as a dude who is at least presenting cisnormative, although I do have a variance in me, what is your thoughts on when you see white girls quote acting black?
Acting black.
I mean, I got you. I want to go there.
Again, it goes to the privilege. They see nothing wrong with it. They don't. They really don't. Until someone gets them on it and say, how dare you? Do you know what you're doing? Cornrows. This, where it comes from. You didn't create it. It's not about Derek. Look, I mean...
I know, we just had this.
Just did it. She just did
had
it
with
again.
Kim Kardashian,
She just did it again. Find out first before you do something. I like dyeing my hair blonde. That doesn't mean I want to be a white woman. You know? I like the color on me. You could definitely appreciate someone's style, but respect it. And it turns into, especially when the youth do it, like the Miley when they were young, you know.
Yeah.
It's a lack of respect for certain things. And it gets into a mockery.
Well, it almost seems like back in the day, we would get the African Venus or the Hottentot Venus, and we would put her on stage and we would do all of that. And now we're going over her head. Rather than even getting her, we're now having a white person just doing it instead of her.
Yeah, and
then stopping when they're done.
And stopping and then going, but this is beautiful though.
Right.
This is
Yeah.
But wait a second.
The exoticizing and the
So it's just hard. I had a conversation with a coworker, and it was a white girl, and she said, I love the way when you wear turbans on the head. But she said, I don't feel right if I do it. Like, should I do it? I don't know. You know, but she really did.
Sure.
And sometimes I said, I don't feel like doing my hair, and I just want to wrap it up.
Yeah.
And I said, understand where it came from. Understand with slavery, we couldn't show our hair. That's the reason why we had to wrap it up. You know, and that we take ownership and we get power from things now. You know, but just understand it. I'm not saying you can't do it. Like I said, I thought my hair blonde. I want to do it.
Well, I mean, but also, but there's blonde hair exists in black people.
It does,
but it also.
But you know what I mean.
I do absolutely. And I think there's a difference also because you probably have messages thrown at you through media that suggest
if you look like this or do this,
then somehow
this.
And white people, we don't have those same images. We don't have skin lightening treatments thrown at us. We have when you want to even out the skin tone, and we have issues when it comes to anorexia and bulimia and the way that we
and how much money you make.
Yes, with class issues.
Class status issues.
And almost all of that really boils down to someone deciding how bad we can make you feel to make money. And I think that it's what I always question is that I had a performer who I spoke to, and I was doing a show because White Elephant it's also a directorship. I'm a director. I don't just book acts that are independent. Sometimes I also create shows, and I was creating a show, and I wanted. I won't get into very, very specific, but I wanted a theatrical act. I wanted an act that had to do with theater. And someone came to me and said, I want to do an act, and I want to do it to this song, and I want it to be a geisha act. And this is a white person. This is a white person who is... I didn't get the sense... knew really what that meant. I think
what were they trying to say?
Yeah, and that's the thing. What are you trying to say?
What are you trying to say?
And I think that every once in a while, a well-meaning act can still be way off or way tone deaf. But at the very least, I know why you thought you could do that. But why you thought you could do that is because no one's ever said you couldn't.
Yep.
And that's part of it. It's not just a matter of don't do it. It's also a matter of
also goes back to
why do you feel that's your story to tell?
Exactly. That also goes back to the Miley Cyruses and everything.
Absolutely.
Why do you think
that that's your story? Step aside.
Yeah.
make room, employ people to tell that story instead. How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, and I feel this way even when it comes to, I've done acts to all ranges of music, and that has included hip hop. I'm in absolutely no interest in. I don't want to make it a novelty that, oh, look, I'm a clown white boy doing a Missy Elliott song. I'm doing an act where that happens to maybe use that music, but there's a reason for it, and it's to connect. It's not me trying to say, and this is my experience, or even this is other people's experience. Using somebody else's story to wake up other white people is kind of bullshit. Hire someone else, put your money behind it,
and have that do it.
Be a producer.
If that's what you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I've seen, my absolute number one, Madonna, is guilty of this 100%. And yes, this is probably all 4 podcasts I have mentioned her. Sorry. I mentioned Rocky Horror, I mentioned Madonna. I can't help it. What I would have loved, and it didn't happen, unfortunately, they didn't happen, when she was interested in doing, like, the Frida Kahlo story.
Yeah.
She wanted to be in the Frida Kahlo story. Rather than using her, because again, I love her, she's not infallible, rather than use her cachet and fucking produce it and have someone else do it.
Too, with an artist, and she was,
who did?
Angela Jolie.
Oh, Angelina Jolie, yeah.
Yeah, who was, and she actually put like a little.
Yeah, she did A Mighty Heart.
Yeah.
And they darkened her skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she has enough.
She's good.
Just get someone to you want.
She doesn't need to.
Story, you feel okay.
Let someone. Yeah, you'll still get all the interviews.
Yeah, you will.
You'll still get all the credit because you're a white person in Hollywood.
You don't have to be.
You'll still get the Best Picture nominee. You'll be on that name. It's this weird entitlement.
And that's where it goes. I could. Oh, really? Oh, that's a wonderful. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Me.
Why? No one can tell this story better than I can. No one? No one can tell that story better than you? And every once in a while, I remember, this is a weird tangent, but like a year ago, they had this movie that they were doing with Stockard Channing, and it was if Michael Jackson and Elizabeth Taylor and Marlon Brando all got in a road trip movie, and they were going across the country after September 11th. This is evidently based on more or less real events-ish.
Okay.
And they hired a white man, Joseph Fiennes, to play Michael Jackson. Because this was in the early 2000s, after Michael Jackson had whiter skin. And I remember somebody saying, well, you never know. I mean, who knows who they saw for those roles? I'm like, I know who they saw for those roles. They didn't see any black people for that role. And then also they're like, you have to hire the best actor for that job. And I'm like, in no universe, no disrespect to Joseph Fiennes. He was fine in Shakespeare in Love. I enjoyed him in American Horror Story. But under no circumstances is he the best role for anybody. I mean, no disrespect. You have to say, like, you have to hire the best actor for the job. Like, you only saw 20 people and all of them were white. And you knew who was coming in. The fuckery is so strong.
You just said it, the fuckery. The fuckery is very strong. And it's sad. But, oh my God. So did the, Geisha, did you do the act?
No, it did not. Well, no, you know what it was? They went in an old Hollywood direction instead. They went Grace Kelly rather than, and because they saw the authenticity with that, and I was like, it's a hard sell for an audience. There's no footnotes in burlesque. You don't get to say, and this was the reason why, and I'm doing this and this and this. You have to. It has to speak for itself.
Yeah.
B, I don't get the sense that you've done the research. C, I don't want to book it.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it just comes down to that.
Yeah.
I don't want to book that because I don't want to be responsible for that, and I don't like it. Like, it's not just I don't like it because I think that it's inappropriate. I don't like it because I think you're reaching. Yeah. I think you're unintentionally going outside of your comfort zone because you think that that's somehow hard and strong, and you're being bold by doing. You're not being bold by doing that.
Or just Like getting on a...
It's more vulnerable to come from more of a personal place than to take somebody else's story.
Yeah.
Learn, what are you doing? If you're doing a dressing room act and you're saying that I'm an actor preparing or I'm an actress getting ready, take from yourself, what do you feel like when you look into the mirror? Because that old Hollywood actress felt the same thing. You don't have to say, and what did I feel like if I was in Kyoto?
Yeah.
You don't fucking know what they felt like.
You're never going to know that.
And what's going to happen is you're going to come off wrong. And the audience isn't going to get it. And I don't even just mean the audience isn't going to get it and they're going to turn on you, because it's not always that deep. Sometimes, this is why it happens, because the audience sometimes will be like, yeah, that was authentic. They're not going to believe you.
Yeah.
They're just going to say, this doesn't connect with me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna take a little bit of a stretch break again, and then we're gonna come to a conclusion. We've been talking for a little bit.
We have.
And I've been very much enjoying it. But I want to when we come back, we're gonna talk a little bit about Falana Fox today and where we're going. So we'll be right back.
Oh my. Me on my own, I don't know if it would have came off like that. And even Ula, she was like, when we were doing it, we said, it was one part I had Nina Simone sing when I did the actual striptease.
Mm-hmm.
No, I sang it. I taped myself. And then I did the striptease. And they were like, well, who's singing? This is me. They're like, why don't you just do it live? I didn't think about these things that just don't. I just didn't think about those stuff. Okay, and even the part with having him and getting the verbiage, and it was from the movie. It's a movie that you can look at on YouTube. Oh my freaking God! I stayed up one night just looking at the movie because you have to buy it, and I was like, I don't buy this. I don't want to buy. And you can look it on YouTube, and they have the different
sex, yeah.
And when she's in her cage. And he's going, and I got and she got the voice for me. I was like, oh my God, it takes a village.
To make things out,
to create.
And I'm assuming that's not an act you can do everywhere.
No, it has to be, like I did it for the Fuck You review when we did.
You did the cultural show.
The cultural show.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, it has to be a certain.
Well, because it's
and I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
It's making sure it's protecting yourself for one thing, because you don't want to necessarily do that in a crowded bar with people who aren't going to be receptive to it.
No, because that could go south. It could go south. It could go south.
Yeah.
You know, so
vulnerable acts need context.
Ooh.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. So no, that's a good one. That's a. I keep her. So I don't know if I'm gonna do the one woman show. I want to do it.
Okay, let's talk about it. I'm sitting here with Falana Fox. We are wrapping up, unfortunately, because all fabulous things must come to an end.
And the Prosecco is going down. Yes, we are drinking Prosecco.
Well, it was a brunch experience.
With no food.
Well, you know, a liquid lunch.
I could have liquid lunch. Nothing wrong with that.
No, so we were saying that you wanted to consider doing a one-woman show.
Yes.
What does a one-woman show starring Falana Fox mean?
And That's what I'm trying to figure out myself.
And is it Falana Fox that you want it as?
And that's what I'm trying to figure out. I did a class. I'm full of classes.
Do it.
How to create your own solo show. Mm-hmm. Matt Hoverman. And I created a show, but it was my muggle.
You're right.
Life.
You're actor. Are you in SAG? Are you in a union?
Don't talk about it.
Oh.
When I did Street Court, we did the contract. It was non-union.
Okay.
And if it would have gotten to another season, it would have changed everything. My contract would have been union because it was a pilot, and it didn't.
Okay.
And no.
Okay.
And
So you would have to do non-union gigs.
Yeah, I would have to.
Or joint equity.
Exactly. Or joint equity. Yeah. So I did this class. I did festivals, the Midtown Theater Festival with my one-woman show. Mm-hmm. And it was good. It was wonderful. So I kind of figured how, but I don't want to tell that story anymore.
Sure.
It was a story that I don't want to tell anymore.
Save that for the autobiography in 20 years.
Exactly. So now, yes, I do Falana. Mm-hmm. I am Falana. I've also gotten to drag.
Yes.
Recently. Yes, in 2016.
You are Lady Queen.
I did it as it was so funny. With Crimson Kitty and Lady Queen, I did the door for her, and I've been like, and I talked to Queen Victoria, and I was like, I just dip my toe, and I'll go on this site, and oh, this is so nice, and I've always been infatuated with makeup.
Yeah.
The whole it's a culture.
The theater. It's a theater.
It's a theatrical just being.
Yeah.
And but I didn't think, as a woman, I could do it. Mm. I just didn't. Mm-hmm. I saw, guys do it and turn into and transform, and I'm like, oh, that's beautiful, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And then when I saw women, I said, can I? Mm. And so I go into the shows, and I did the door for Crimson, and I was invited to do the Nobody's Award show, and I didn't have a name. I said, I'll just whatever, and I won that
title.
That because it was in series.
Okay, you won that night.
You did that night, and then at the end is a whole finale, and Guam's won. Burlesque.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Burlesque won for it. But that was my first time actually doing drag, and I said, oh my goodness. So that's another.
So what I know this already, but for our audience, what do you call yourself in
Billy Days.
Billy Days.
Billy Days. Oh God. Yes, Billy Days.
Billie. Is it named after? Is it in reference to Billie Holiday?
It is.
Why is it always coming back to Billie Holiday?
I think because even when I pursued singing, and my first song was Good Morning Heartache, and those were my songs that was in my,
in your wheelhouse.
Auditioned with those songs, so I think.
Were you a fan of Billie Holiday growing up?
Yes. And when I saw the movie with Diana Ross, loving Diana Ross, when she did it, I was like, oh.
The mixing of perfect worlds.
This is a mixing of it all. So I have that too now that I'm doing, and I am part of. I've been invited to the Lady Queens.
Very nice.
Group. So, if I do my one-woman show, I want to incorporate all that.
Yeah.
So now it's just figuring out how and yeah. So that's my new venture. That's my new venture.
Well, very exciting. I'm glad to be here at the apex of the adventure.
Yes.
Because
Honey. Yes.
Because you are a regular participant of White Elephant Burlesque. You'll be with us in February.
Yes.
And
on Valentine's Day
specifically.
Yes.
And whenever I have the opportunity to have you, it's always a delight. You are a fascinating person, and I'm really glad to get to know you, even still, because I've learned so much about you tonight.
A lot comes out with
a lot going on.
And a mic.
And a little mic, yeah. Prosecco and a mic will put you in a way.
We'll put it all out there. Yes.
So I am going to say goodnight, but not goodbye, because there will always be another evening.
Good night.
With the fabulous Falana Fox.
Yes.
Oh,
thank you.
You're going to serenade me? I won't turn it down. I won't turn it down.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad to have you. Yes. Thank you. My darlings, you have been listening to WEBurlesque. This is your host, Viktor Devonne. My guest this evening was the incomparable Falana Fox. Check her out on the internets and find out where you can see her. And look forward to that one-woman show.
Baby.
Touring the world, I'm sure. And we will see you the next time.
Bye-bye.